Ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow media enthusiasts, welcome back to another review. This time, continuing the series of Transformers with the final movie in the Bayverse, The Last Night. So, I originally, like I said in the fourth one, wasn't really gonna review these, and I guess at this point I'll probably review the newest one, Rise of the Beasts, as well. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the Bumblebee one, but I originally wasn't planning to do this, but the fourth movie pissed me off so much, and because I did that one anyway, I might as well review this one to basically, see and tell people if it got any better. And this is where people probably already know, because I'm way late to the party, but that won't stop me. So, I think after watching Transformers The Last Night, they literally stopped trying after the travesty of the fourth movie, which I don't even want to name what it actually is because it was so fucking bad. Like, that's how terrible this shit was. If I could describe this movie in a couple of words, I could probably describe it as goofy and silly. The whole movie had overall really weird pacing, similar to the first one, but in a somewhat different way. It really feels like they stopped caring about explaining things and story exposition, especially between character interactions and stuff like, oh, why is this character here? What are we doing here? Why is this there? Why is this the way it is? They just didn't care, and they tried a little bit sometimes, but most of the time they just shoved characters into the action. And characters barely talk to each other or even question things. A lot of it seems rushed. They're shoved into situations, and most of the time they don't care, or again, it's not bothered. No one's bothering to really explain anything, and no one cares. There's situations that happen where one character 5 minutes ago is having a coffee, living a normal life, has a job, a family, a home, and then in the next 5 minutes, they're now roped into the Transformer War with this new plot that's 1600 years old that has like Camelot and the Sword and the Stone that somehow has to do directly with them, and they just don't really care sometimes. And this is multiple characters that this happens to. In the fourth movie, it happened with the boyfriend of the daughter of the main character, Cade. In that movie, the boyfriend kind of just didn't care. He was just all gun ho, like, okay, I'm in this now, cool. Like, not really any complaints, not really any sort of regret, especially since they torched his savings and his car. He just didn't care. He was just like, "Oh, I'm in this now. Okay, I'm like a hardened veteran." Whereas some other people in the world just hate the fucking Transformers. They don't really show that at all, aside from the big bad villains in the military. But the whole thing just doesn't really make any sense. Like, even in this movie, Cade returns, right? What the fuck is his name? Oh god, who the fuck is the actor? Mark Wahlberg, I believe, is the actor. Cade, Mark Wahlberg, I think, returns as Cade in this movie, and it doesn't even feel like he's really the main character anymore. They tried to make him cool in the beginning, and he was, I guess, maybe for a little bit, but the interaction that he has, and it's a very forced and obvious thing that they're doing with who they put with him, which was a little girl. It's very forced that they're obviously trying to sub in for the daughter, and it just feels like they're connecting so quickly, and Kate is kind of like dumb in some ways but smart in other ways. Like, it just he's just a total mismatch and a goofy goober for what they try and set him up as and what he really is. And especially with his interaction with some of the characters and the little girl, it's like, not only do I question his actions, I question the interactions he had with others. It's just ridiculous. You would think, since they rushed most of the characters too, and the interactions that they had, that it would make way for a lot of interesting action scenes that would give us kind of what we really want. Really good, cool looking, well thought out action scenes of Transformers fighting and fucking each other. Well, you'd be fucking wrong, because the action scenes that they show in here are fast, nonsensical, and without any real substance, where everything, similar to the story, just happens so fast and is unexplained, and some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. The fight themselves, like the fights that happen, aren't even really good. Like, in terms of who's even participating, what's happening in the fight, what they're showing, it's not really until the very end, like the final two fights, that we get something that's kind of okay. And they're not really that okay, they're kind of quick and whack anyway, but it's better than what we had the whole film. So, This is obviously your also classic Transformers movie from the Bayverse, at least comparing it to the fourth film, where not only was the writing horrible in terms of the story and what made sense and what didn't, but what little character interactions we get again did have, which was not a lot of all, no substance. They were bland nonsense, and they had some of the laziest and worst jokes and one-liners I had ever seen. The Transformers movies are iconic for having really good lines, especially with Optimus, but there's some other ones too. There is literally one line from Bumblebee. It's a one-liner he did, where I'm not gonna say when or what it was, but it was a very big moment, and Bumblebee said this, and it was so bad, I cringed, and I stopped watching. I had to pause, and I had to just like really question that that just happened, and I was going in between laughing and crying. And the part is again well into the movie already, so I was already kind of done caring about the movie, but the line actually did what I didn't think was possible. It made me hate the movie even more after everything had mostly happened. Like I couldn't believe my eyes and ears when I heard this. It was so terrible. And it's just one example of a couple. Like they're really bad, they're really stupid. Characters don't really get fleshed out. The Transformers are just kind of there doing their own thing. Some stuff is laid in there. There are some secrets that you would have to pick up on from coming from the fourth movie to the fifth movie. There is some Easter eggs, and I do appreciate that stuff, but it's so small and in between. Now maybe I missed some stuff, sure, but it's like it's even if I did miss like less than half of it from what I saw, if there's more than double of what I saw, it's not gonna change anything. That's how bad the other parts are. It's nice sprinkles on a fucking shit cake. It's terrible. Now, the kind of unfortunate part, or fortunate depending on how you look at it, is and to sum it all up, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about this garbage movie. I think after the fourth one, I stopped caring for the most part, and it looks like in the movie in the fifth one here, the last night, the creators kind of did too. And again, depending on how you look at it, this is the fortunate or unfortunate part. This is the last movie in the Bayverse. Now, I don't know if it's because it did so bad. I don't know if because they got their heads out of their asses. The people who own Transformers were like, "Stop this mockery." I don't know if they want to restart it, which they obviously did with the Rise of the Beasts. But regardless, it's the last one, and I don't know if that was planned because near the end they have a sort of teaser and everything, and they kind of take a lot of the source material. And again, this was a complaint in the fourth one that's also I think still prevalent in the fifth one, where they take stuff from the comics that it's from Transformers, it's about certain Transformers, and they just really change them up to be so different from what they were, where they kind of in a way are shitting on them. So in the fourth one it happened with the Dinobots. In the fifth one, I'm not going to say who it happens with because it's a pretty big spoiler, but it's like, damn, they really took this and made it that. And I'll give you guys a hint, it's a big thing. And that is enough of a hint. It's a big, big, big thing. Emphasis on big. It's a big thing. But either way, at least, this is the last one, which means again, there's no opportunity for redemption. But on a positive note, it put the series out of its fucking misery because I don't know what was happening. One of the drawing points for the series was fucking Optimus. And in the fourth one, right, he was already kind of going downhill. He was becoming goofy. His one-liners and stuff kind of were getting a little bad, right? And it doesn't make sense, which is, light spoilers here, right? Something happens in the fourth movie that happens again in this movie. And it's not just with this one instance, but this example is what I've used before. So again, light spoilers, but Optimus can just randomly, and others can too, pull shit out of their ass whenever they want. Like Optimus again started flying randomly, where if he could have flown at certain points, it would have been way better. And at certain points he does, but it's like, why can this just happen at some points and at others it doesn't? Like, I don't know what happened, but they took one of the best people in the film, Optimus Prime, and basically didn't use him for a majority of the film. And then not having him there really like has a detriment because there's not many fight scenes without Optimus that are that good. But regardless, even the villain, right? The villain of this whole story was just like terrible. It's not explained. Nothing's explained. There, okay, I don't want to say nothing. There's some alluding to some stuff happening, some stuff that's good, some stuff that's like, okay, this is why they're here, why they're doing this, but it's very, very little, and we see them do things that they have no precedent to do. Like, they're just doing things that, okay, I guess we have to take it at face value. They're capable of this. And then it gets thrown out the window. And there's so much mismatching of strength, of capabilities, of just explaining. It's like I just can't do it. I'm so astonished that this is what it was. I don't know if they tried to have too much and pin it all into one thing. Again, it just really feels like they didn't try. And this is one of the other things that happened with Bumblebee, right? So it wasn't just Optimus, Bumblebee's another one where stuff happens with him that just doesn't make logical sense. Either in fights where, and again, light spoilers, he's able to just repair himself. Now, granted, in the fourth film, I said they could scan cars and just kind of change their look, and that still happens here. But Bumblebee, when he's fighting, like, they don't even need repairs anymore. He just puts himself back together. Like, if his head is cut off, it'll just come back on its own. It'll just fly back to it. And it's like what? Like, he just got finished getting the crap beat out of him in one fight, and he just comes back together, and it doesn't make sense where this came from, how this happened, who did this, why it's the case. Was it like this always? I don't know. But it's stuff that actually matters, that it really feels like they just put in for the sake of plot. And again, sounding like a broken record, sadly, it really feels like they just wanted to do things and they got lazy enough, or just straight up didn't care to explain it, and they just did it. They did it for the sake of story, to make it look cool, or because they're dumb. I don't know. Again, the fight scenes were basically so quick, where sometimes it was literally either 5 seconds or maybe a couple minutes at most of something happening really quick between people you really don't care about, and it's a fight, if you can even call it that, because it wasn't even that choreographed well. Aside from the final two, which again I would say aren't even that good, the interactions with the Transformers and action scenes are just plain out kind of ass. Like, there's one point in the show, or sorry, in the movie, where one of the Transformers literally gets shot in the chest, and you think he's dead, and they don't show anything, and then he just comes back and he's fine. And it's like, does he have the same power as Bumblebee, where he could just repair? And why didn't the Decepticons kill him, right? And why did he basically only fight for 5 seconds when he's set up as this very strong character, especially from the other movies? I don't know, and I don't think the film knows either. It's just like they didn't try. It really sucks. Even going into this movie, everything in this movie sucked. And going into it with the pretense of watching the fourth movie and knowing it's gonna suck, it somewhat helped me, because at certain times I just turned my brain off. I was like, oh, okay, these are pretty cool scenes. I don't really care for the explanation anymore, because that's out the window. I guess there's pretty stuff happening on the screen, even though the fights aren't even that good. But there was some stuff that was okay. The only thing I could really say that was okay was the character Cogman. He's a new character, and I actually really liked him. He's probably the only good thing that made a lot of sense and was funny, and they actually explained a good bit. But overall, even when turning my brain off, some of the scenes and the plot made so little sense, and especially the thing with the Bumblebee incident, it forced me to turn my brain back on, and made me think and hate the movie more. Somehow, and I didn't think this was possible, it's getting an even lesser score than the fourth one, and I already had low expectations. It's getting a 2 out of 10 Optimus Primes. I think this is my lowest rating, one of the lowest ratings I've given thus far when I've reviewed fiction. It's actually crazy, or not fiction, but movies and shows. Like, the relationship between the real people, the explaining of things, most of the action scenes, the one liners, the plot, nearly just everything just didn't make sense or sucked. Except Cogman. I love him. Anyway, that's going to be it, folks. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you want me to react and see anything else, please let me know. And I stream every day at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel, so come watch me there. Eee!